There was a murder warrant on a desk in Muskogee, Indian Territory, and it had his own son's name on it. Every other lawman in the building found a reason to be somewhere else. Nobody wanted to hunt the boy. Nobody wanted to be the one if the boy fought. So the greatest deputy marshal the West ever produced walked in, picked up the warrant, and put it in his pocket. Then he went to arrest his own son. This is the full story of Bass Reeves. Stay with me. It's worth the ride. Bass Reeves was born around 1838 in Arkansas, and the first fact of his life was that he was owned. The family that held him moved to Texas when he was a boy. He was never taught to read. Remember that. It matters later. When the Civil War came, the man who owned Bass took him along to serve the Confederacy. Somewhere in those years, Bass got free. One story says it started over a card game and ended with his fists. Bass himself never told it quite the same way twice, and maybe a man who had to run for his life earned the right to keep the details. What we know is where he ran, into Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma. He lived among the Creek and the Seminole. He learned their languages. He learned the rivers, the trails, the hiding places, every fold of a country the size of a small nation. By the time freedom came on paper, Bass Reeves already had it, in fact. He settled in Arkansas, married, farmed, started what would become a family of 11 children. And that might have been the whole story, except that just across the river, the most dangerous place in America was about to go looking for men like him. 1875, Fort Smith, Arkansas. A federal judge named Isaac Parker takes over a court with jurisdiction over the whole Indian Territory. 74,000 square miles. And every outlaw, horse thief, and killer in the country knew it was the one place the law couldn't follow them. Parker meant to change that. His marshal set out to hire 200 deputies. Somebody knew a farmer who spoke the languages and knew the territory better than the men hiding in it. That's how Bass Reeves, born a slave, became one of the first black deputy United States Marshals west of the Mississippi. He couldn't read the warrants he carried, so before every trip, he had someone read them out loud over and over until every name, every face, every charge was fixed in his memory. In 32 years, they say he never once served the wrong paper. He worked in disguise. He rode into outlaw camps as a preacher, a drifter, a cowhand down on his luck. He'd share their fire, eat their beans, and in the morning they'd be wearing his handcuffs. The numbers he put up don't sound real. 3,000 arrests, 14 men killed, everyone ruled self-defense. And in 32 years of gunfire, he was never wounded. They shot the brim off his hat. They shot his belt in two. They shot the buttons off his coat. They never touched the man. Here's the thing about Bass Reeves that mattered more than his gun. His word was good. Outlaws surrendered to him because everyone in the territory knew. If Bass said you'd reach Fort Smith alive, you reached Fort Smith alive. The most feared man in the territory, and what he was feared for mostly, was that he could not be bought and could not be bent. Not by money, not by friendship. And then, in June of 1902, the law asked him the only question that was left. His son Benny had married a few years earlier. The marriage went wrong, and on the 7th of June, in a jealous rage, Benny shot his wife dead in Muskogee. A murder warrant was drawn up, and it sat there. Out of respect, out of grief, out of plain human decency, no deputy would take it. Nobody wanted to hunt the son of Bass Reeves. Nobody wanted to be the one. If the boy resisted, Bass came in and asked for the warrant himself. Now, the story splits here, and I'll give you both trails. The legend says Benny ran, armed and desperate, into the wild country his father knew better than any man alive. It says Bass tracked his own son for 2 weeks, the hardest manhunt of his life, and brought him in across the territory. The newspaper the next morning told it plainer. It said the boy surrendered to his father. Take whichever trail you like. They end at the same door. Bass Reeves walking his own son into the jailhouse and handing over the warrant. Served. Benny was tried and convicted and sentenced to life in Leavenworth. But this story has one more turn in it. After 11 years, the people of Muskogee petitioned for his release, and the sentence was commuted. Benny came home. He opened a barber shop. He remarried, became one of the town's solid citizens, and for the rest of a long life, he never broke the law again. The old man's code cost him his son for 11 years. It may also be the thing that gave his son back. In 1907, Oklahoma became a state, and the old territory and the federal badge that policed it passed into history. Bass Reeves was pushing 70. He signed on with the Muskogee City Police and walked the beat, and the story they tell is that in 2 years, there was never a crime on it. He died in the winter of 1910, and then America spent about 100 years forgetting him, while it built statues and made movies about lawmen who couldn't have carried his saddlebags. It's fashionable now to remember Bass Reeves for the numbers. 3,000 arrests, 14 gunfights, never wounded. But the true measure of the man isn't in the 3,000, it's in the one. The one warrant nobody else would touch, with his boy's name on it, and a father who put it in his pocket and went to work. Because the law he gave his word to didn't come with an asterisk. It isn't the code when it's easy. It's the code when it costs you. That's the story. There's more trail out there than we'll ever ride. So come on back to the campfire soon, and we'll tell another one.